DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool. The LD Systems Curve 500 is the world's first truly portable array system. With 2,400 watts of peak power and a 120-degree array, the Curve 500 is the ideal solution for DJs who care about their sound and presentation. Quality Kids Entertainment is sought after by parents and daycare centers everywhere. Bubble parties can easily be added to your existing services as a wonderful and unique event. Mention you saw this ad and get 10% off our special offer if you sign up before April 30th. So contact Bubble Parties today before this offer gets away. The PV Dark Manor Series power enclosures deliver best-in-class performance with custom settings for specific environments. The Dark Matter enclosures produce crystal clear, professional audio. PV Electronics, perfection in music and audio. Learn how to make money while you sleep with automated email marketing for your event or business. Get access to the training for free by going to profit911.biz/DJN. Profit 911. More customers, more cash, less stress.
So, Jeremy, we want to start talking about the basics for getting a light show for someone who's maybe just starting out. A lot of DJs, have got a few things, but they want to upgrade to LED. So let's kind of give them kind of a step-by-step process in putting together that light show.
Sure. Luckily, the technology in lighting has come a long way for all of us. And I remember when I first started out, I had the octopus and, all the different lights that would just basically spin. And you would have the flip switch. You would turn them on, you would turn them off, slow dance. Okay, it's time for the mirror ball. Well, we're fortunate that a lot of that has changed. The LED has made it extremely accessible for us to get great lighting, very effective lighting, and very affordable. So, like I said, I started at the same level as everybody else. It was, I need to buy this, I need to buy that, but what do you buy and what do you invest in as you grow? And I think that's kind of our main topics that we really want to hit on tonight. Is that right?
I think so. I definitely think so. I think we need to give kind of a beginning step, to do some of the basics for what they need for lighting, and then we can add on and talk about some different add-ons. And I want to put them somewhat in a sequential order so that it's a logical add-on. And what I mean by that is I don't want to have someone who doesn't have anything for lighting. All of a sudden, the first thing they're going to do is go and buy 20 intelligent lights. Then they have no idea what they're doing, and they have them up there, and they've just stuck a ton of money into it, and it really wasn't going to give them the effect that they needed, to have the groundwork done before they add the big stuff. So that's
sure. So some of the things, I guess, as you start or as you begin your process for investing in lights, what you need to think about is what is it that you're trying, or what results are you trying to create? Are you trying to create lasers? Are you trying to create beam effects? Are you trying to create wash effects? And I think the best place to start is just illuminating your dance floor. If your focus is the dance floor, then make that your focus in your investment. Now, if you're saying, well, I don't really need too much for my dance floor lighting, there's a lot of entertainers that actually don't use lighting. Bill Herman doesn't use a lot of lighting.
Right.
And, he's his services are mainly focused on what he does as an MC. So he might not be interested in dance floor lighting. So he might invest more in like the uplighting to kind of create that ambiance behind a head table. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, what are the main features that you want to highlight or to focus on when you're picking out your lighting? So let's talk about the dance floor first of all.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're all going to look at first, is that getting that kind of illuminating the dance floor.
Yeah, as DJs, we want to create the energy on the dance floor. We want to create the elegance during slow songs. And the first thing I would probably recommend is look at the fixture's flexibility. If you're getting a fixture and all it does is spin really fast, probably not your go-to fixture when it comes to a slow dance. So some of the great effects that are out there, I know, for instance, Shobe DJ has the Swarm Wash FX, which is a couple different effects in one fixture. Now, the reason I kind of point that one out is because think about a couple when they're doing their first dance. They want to be seen. They don't want lasers on them. They don't want strobes going off during their first slow dance. But that light has those features. But the thing I like about the Swarm Wash FX is it actually has a wash effect, so you can illuminate your dance floor. Now, one thing to think about is maybe hitting it in two different directions. So maybe two of these lights might be a good starter package. And the other thing you need to think about is how are you going to control that? So if you just put it in sound active mode, is it going to have lasers? Is it going to have strobes? Is it going to have the beams acting when you want it just to be the wash? So, think about the controllability of it. Are you going to be running a DMX board? Are you going to be running a software? So think about the functionality of the fixture, but then the control, how you're going to be able to control that fixture in general.
Now, Jeremy, you're talking, of course, about the kind of an all-in-one fixture there. But now, if a person was just getting into some LED, just maybe a basic can, for lack of a better way to describe it, a par. Now, are there different patterns that, as far as maybe coverage is what I'm asking? Are there different coverages with those? Because I know we've seen some that have 3 and 5 and 7 and up to 12, what have you, of little emitters on those.
Yeah, so a wash is going to be a nice wide spread of light, and I guess I should have maybe mentioned that what the difference between a wash and a beam is. A beam's going to be really tight beams, basically. Beam effects work great if you're using haze, or if you want, again, kind of that cool, it's a beam effect. Mm-hmm. If you want a cool beam effect on a dance floor, the nice thing with the wash is a wash is usually about 45 anywhere to 60. 90 degrees. I know one of the effects that we actually use it more in a design aspect. The wash effects. Mm-hmm. Chauvet DJ wash effects. We use those in a design aspect by lighting up ceilings, which again, that might be a great option if you need to illuminate that dance floor. You can put it in standalone, you can put it in programs, and then you can also run it in DMX. And it has some really cool features or some really cool built-in programs within the unit. So again, my main focus, or my first focus, would be making sure the bride and groom are seen during those specialty dances, because that's their moment and you want that moment to really stick out for them. So pars, wash effects, I should say wash effects in general, are always a good place to start with your dance floor.
So you just mentioned you want the bride and groom to be seen. Now, we had a little diagram that we were working from where we had the dance floor kind of in the center. We had guests seating on the left and right, and then across the dance floor from where the DJ was the head table. So you had your dance floor in the middle. Now, in that particular case, Jeremy, I would typically have my lights up by me as the DJ, which means that I'm throwing the lights at the bride and groom, but they're going to be showing silhouettes to the guests. Now, in that kind of a configuration, would you recommend maybe bringing lighting in from the other side also? Maybe if I had 4 floods, maybe I do 2 on one side of the floor and 2 on the other, or how would you recommend that?
Yeah, so I'm going to pull up that diagram that you had sent me, John.
Perfect. There it is, yeah.
Here's the diagram we talked about, and hopefully you can see my little cursor here.
Yep, I can.
I am going to, select red.
Can you change it to DJ McAwesome so I can feel like if it was me, I'd be cool?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll get that later.
John, you had a great point. Like we talked about, the focus is the bride and groom. And the other thing you need to think about, the bride and groom might go up to the head table to grab a drink, to, just get some things, gather their, just rest a little bit. And you always want to think of the bride and groom's perspective. And I always focus on that when it comes to pin spotting. If you ever question yourself, how should I pin spot this floral piece? Always think about the bride and groom's perspective. So, like you were saying, most DJs will set their lights here. That's an awesome circle.
It looks beautiful. We get the point. That's what we're after. Nice.
It's a circle truss. Actually,
it's the new Jeremy Brech circle truss.
So most DJs will set their lights in those positions, which, again, it makes sense because the DJ's there, all the cables, everything that they need to run those lights is away from the guests, and it's close to them, so they can have a little bit more control of it. Well, again, we talked about the technology that we have. We can send wireless signals across the room now, and a lot of times what we do now, you talked about investing and building your investment. we use moving heads now. We don't have a lot of the spinning lights and things like that, the lasers. We've gone to more of those moving heads, and we would actually position our moving heads here and over here. And what this does is this now allows me to, as the lighting designer / producer of this reception, to create that focus on the center of the dance floor. You have to imagine parents are probably going to be sitting here, or they're going to be sitting over on this table. So when those spotlights hit the bride and groom, it's illuminating them, and they have the perfect seat in the house to see that moment, that dress of the bride sparkle from the lighting that you're creating. Now, again, we talked about, you don't need moving heads to make that happen. You can get car lights, you can get wash lights, you can get simple fixtures to be able to do that. And again, as you start investing, then you can get moving heads. And when we use our moving heads, if we have the door right here where all the guests are entering in, we're able to use these. I'm going to use yellow because that's my color of my beam. We're going to use the worst pen ever. Okay, so we're going to use our moving heads, and we're going to aim all the way across the room, which is going to give me a nice spread of beam, because the further away the beam is, the more spread you get. Right. It's going to make a beautiful circle around that door when the bride and groom come through the door. It's going to highlight that dance floor when they come out with their wedding party, and create that energy during their introduction. So when it comes to positioning, again, yes, think about when you're a DJ and the lights are beside you. You get some awesome perspective of those lights and hitting people and creating the energy. You can see those beams, and that light actually illuminate them. So imagine flipping that script, as Mitch Taylor would say, and have that light shoot the other way, so that way when people are actually watching the dance floor, they're getting that high off of the lighting that you're creating on the dance floor. Right.
And this could be done, without investing a ton of money. You could have a single, let's say a 7 emitter LED fixture. You could put one of those in each corner, and that would help illuminate that dance floor for the guests. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if we look at the 4 awesome totems that I currently have there, or even light stands, they don't have to be totems. If you have 4 different positions of lights, you can now capture that entire dance floor from all the angles. So it really does give you a lot of opportunities. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I would say if you're just getting into lighting, your best bets are maybe budget anywhere from $500 to $800 in lighting. And I know that seems like a lot, but you'll be amazed again with the technology in the lighting, and also in the cost effectiveness of LED lighting anymore. The prices have gone down extensively. I remember buying my first LED moving head, and I felt like I had to take out a bank loan because they were so expensive. They've really become effective, and again, the pricing has been phenomenal on them. So there's a lot of great options.
Cool. For those of you all watching, thank you for watching tonight. By the way, at the beginning of the video, we had our sponsors, and in the description below, we've got the link to our sponsors. These are the people who are sponsoring our shows for the month of April. So please, when you get a chance, show them some love. If you do business with them, go thank them for whatever. But these are the companies that are helping to bring these shows to you, because Jeremy out there and Jake and the crew in Wisconsin, all these little things cost money to do, and this internet to bring it to you. So please show the sponsors some love. So okay, we are back. Oh, hey, we lost all of our artwork.
Oh, did you want me to back?
No, that's quite all right, because now we're ready for the next part of our story, because we went from kind of wash. Of course, we talked about the swarm, which did everything, but we kind of had some color on the floor. Now let's add some excitement to that dance floor.
All right. Well, again, when we were talking about the swarm wash, that one again has a lot of flexibility. So it does have the strobes in there. It does have, I think it's got a little laser in the front, doesn't it? I don't even know.
Yes, it does. I think it's got a laser. It's got the strobe. It's got a laser strobe, and then I think it had the wash, and then did it do beams from the outside too?
Yeah, the RGB. Hold on, actually, I can pull it up here. But anyways, yeah, again, that just shows you the flexibility in some of these fixtures that are out there anymore. Let's see, it is RGB AW rotating derby effect, and then the RGB UV wash. So you can actually use that as a UV wash. I wouldn't probably use that a UV wash for a wedding, but obviously, if you're doing
and Jeremy, please,
anything that you do.
Tell us why, because there's some people out there who do not know why you don't want to use UV at a wedding.
Yeah, so there's a couple different reasons. First of all, UV. If the bride's dress is white, it will make her glow. That's one reason. But the other thing is, it really, people that wear a lot of makeup or don't wear a lot of makeup, it will actually show a lot of their flaws in their skin. I don't know if people do that or not, but it can really affect the way pictures look and a lot of different things. So
okay, you're being way too nice. So let's go to the reason why it makes the dress look. If there are two different types of satin, it will show. And by the time this will be the most embarrassing is that when you have a bride who had to have her dress altered and add a little material in the back, and all of a sudden you're going to see that little 1.5 to 2 inch strip of color that material that's a different color than everything else, and it's going to be glaringly obvious. Second part is that if you have denture work, or your teeth will glow one color, and any kind of denture work will glow a different color. So for those of us who have, like right now, a lot of you may know that I'm doing the Invisalign thing. So there's little things that they put on my teeth. Those will show a different color than my actual teeth will. So, and I did have a bride one time when she wanted black lights, and then I noticed one of her teeth looked one of her teeth in front, and it's like, is that? She goes, yeah, I had an accident when I was a child, and that's a fake tooth. It's like, you don't want black lights because that's going to glow differently. It's going to look like Ross from that episode of Friends when he did the tooth whitening thing. Yeah. And then there's different things with skin and imperfections too, but the biggest ones are anything that's going to make the bride look bad. We don't want to do.
Sometimes lingerie gets enhanced a little bit as well. So
there was that too, but that's usually a positive.
Yeah, I think it's save that for maybe after the dance
for the boom chicka wow wow time.
But again, I mean, the UV is great, especially if you're doing school dances as well. So, there are definitely some good options, because a lot of people don't just focus on weddings, or they don't focus on one style of event. So it does give you a lot of flexibility.
And to be fair, you can do some incredible colors with UV, with combining red and a little UV. So it isn't like it's completely thrown out and you never use it at a wedding. It's just you got to be careful.
Exactly. So some of the other fixtures, like I talked about, we talked a little bit about moving heads. Is that kind of where you want to go now?
Yeah, I want to add some excitement to that dance floor. Now, we have a nice wash. We've got we can set a tone, but now we want to, when we get into some more of the dance beat, let's give the people something that they can use to get some excitement on the floor. But we've spent like $800 to get our initial lights. Now let's, is there a step, before we spend $1,000 per moving head, that maybe there's something that we can get into that's not going to break the bank?
Yeah. So, if you already have, let's kind of stair step this, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
So we have our dance floor lighting. Now, how do you add a little bit more energy to the dance floor or to the environment? Think of it that way. So it's not just the dance floor. Add some uplighting and give it some control. So allow it to do color snaps with the beat of the music. Allow it to do chases. Allow it to strobe the walls. Do some things with that. When we did Mobile Beat, we used the slim beams, which were a really popular effect. A ton of people were asking about them. And basically all we did is we just accessed the built-in programs, and we just made it snap with the beat of the music. So it would do waves, it would do color changes, it would do a lot of cool things. So you have your dance floor lighting. You start adding some surrounding atmosphere to create more energy. And, then when you take that next step of, I want to get into moving heads, you still have that perimeter lighting that you can utilize, whether it be uplights, whether it be color bands, on the walls. But now when you start making that investment into moving heads, which again, I mean, you're going to probably invest anywhere from, I would say, $800 to $2,000 getting into a pair of moving heads. And they have some very budget-friendly ones, and they have some that will knock the socks off of people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the ones that are going to knock the socks off of people.
Because that fits in all of our budgets.
Yes. So there's a lot of great ones out there, and actually these are our Intimidator 355Zs. They are a zooming fixture. but when you work with them in pairs, you can do a lot of cool things with the shutters, with the color changing, panning the crowd, making, tilt moves and things like that. Again, accessing the beats with the music. And if you saw my presentation in Las Vegas at Mobile Beat, you would have noticed how we broke all the elements of music apart and we added lighting to each thing. So you have to start thinking about the music and not just let your lights do its own thing. Now you start, again, building into the music and having the light react with it.
Right.
One of the ones that I really love, I love fixtures that actually have like a pixel mapping or a pixel chase. Mm-hmm. We used the Intimidator trios, which are a great effect light, a great moving head. And there's a lot of cool things with that trio because, well, they call it a 3-in-1, which is why they call it a trio, but technically it's a 4-in-1. And the reason I say that is because it's a wash moving head.
Yep.
It also becomes a spot, so it's kind of that mid between a wash and a beam. It does have the beam as well. And then it also has what I would call more of a moonflower effect, like that derby effect we talked about with the wash effects.
Right.
It's a much brighter and a much intense feel. And again, accessing the built-in programs, it actually has built-in pixel mapping on the inside the lenses. So the cool thing about that is when you cast that light into your crowd, and I've done a shop time video, I'm sure it's out on the Disc Jockey News site somewhere, but when you access pixel mapping or pixel chases, it's what's beyond the light or beyond the people that is really creating the cool effect. Because when a beam actually jumps from here, you're now changing the angle of what that beam is hitting back there. So now you'll see the person here, but when it moves again, then you're going to see that person here, then you're going to see that person here, then you're going to see that. So the shadows that actually are created, mm-hmm. and I don't know if this is beyond, I don't know if this makes any sense, but trust me, if you can do any pixel chasing, try it, shoot it in your crowd, and watch behind you because you'll get the coolest effects when you see that shadowing. So again, it's the trio is an amazing fixture because it is technically a 4-in-1 fixture. And
not that we're going to be trying to sell a bunch of those, but when you're talking price, getting into $1,000 fixture, the trio, which can do a lot, wasn't that expensive. I don't think, if I remember correctly, pricing was.
No. If I don't even know what the pricing is on them, I'm going to guarantee you can get a set of them for under $2,000.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was even quite a bit. And again, we don't know what they are online, but God, I think online they're closer in the 800 range. I mean, they're for what they can do.
Yeah.
But even let's go back to guys who have got even smaller budget than that. We want to at the top end there's really cool. I mean, if you've got a lot of money, you can go throw a Maverick out there. That would be awesome too. But let's back up a little bit and talk about something that's going to be more of a entry level now.
Okay. So entry level beyond the wash or the
some more of an entry level option to get some excitement on that dance floor, and again, the swarm. I hate to keep coming back to that one and hitting that swarm wash, but that is really an all-in-one. 4 of those in the corners, and we're set. But say we didn't do that. We've got say we have our floods and we've got our wash of lights in the corners. What could we add to those? And I back when you and I started, Jeremy, or at least when I did, there were things like the mushroom type head fixtures, that were really popular, and they would shoot beams around.
Yep.
There's got to be something that's okay. Yeah, somebody said trios are $750 a piece. Thank you, Ian.
Well, I need to get more trios.
Yeah, that's for what it can do. That's a crazy good price because they are very, very flexible.
So one of the fixtures that we use, we actually use the Intimidator duos. We don't have the duo 150s or the 155s. The Intimidator spot duos, they're actually 2 little moving heads. And I mean, again, it starts getting you into that moving head mode. And I mean, you're looking at probably $1,000 investment for a pair of those, or anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200. Now, again, I mean, there's a lot of great great fixtures. The let's see, the smaller moving heads, and also just getting some of the fixtures that do have multiple effects built into them. And truthfully, if you want to take your lighting to the next level, you don't, and the lighting dealers are probably going to hate me for saying this, you don't technically have to buy extreme lighting. You don't have to buy expensive lighting. All you have to do is understand the light that you have. Yes. Okay. So the reason the slim beams were so popular is because people really felt that it was incorporated with the music, and all we did, we accessed the built-in programs that were in that fixture, and we gave it personality. And truthfully, if you want to take your lighting to the next level, start understanding DMX programming, start understanding the built-in programs in your fixtures, and give your lighting personality. That's actually at the end, every single seminar that I do, I always end with, your lighting is a distraction if it's not part of your performance. If it's not incorporated in what you're doing in your performance, then it's taking you away from being a performer. So that's why, again, I utilize my lighting to its fullest potential when I do a wedding dance. If a bride says, I want uplighting, I'm going to make sure that uplighting has personality. And it's not just one static color the entire time. It might have a slight motion wave to it, or it might, again, once the dance starts, it might snap to the beat of the music,
right?
Or it might strobe during the high energy parts of a song. So, this. Let's see if I can unplug it here. This little box. I don't know if you can see that or not. This is the Show Express box. This little box changed the way I did lighting, the way I looked at lighting, and how I perform with my lighting. And that took my events to the next level.
Sure.
So again, just understand the lighting that you have and how to manipulate or how to work with that lighting to make it effective for you as a performer.
Right.
So you had a question, what is pixel mapping?
Yep. Somebody asked pixel mapping, what that was. You kind of give a little 100 level for someone who's never heard or.
I'm gonna use my freedom hex here.
Jeremy, can you shut the video on the other computer off so we can get a bigger U?
Yes.
That'll be easier for you to explain. There we go. Perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to use the freedom as an example. So you've got 4 different diodes. You've got 2 here, and basically what pixel mapping is I can control this one, I can control this one, I can control this one, I can control this one. And actually, let me take it to another scale. Give me 1 second.
Yep.
Toys.
Is that one of them?
Yeah. I forgot I had it back there. Okay, so this is the trio. Now, when you pixel map, what you're doing is you're controlling this lens right here, or these diodes. You're controlling these diodes, these, and these. And you can turn on one and have the rest of them off. Then you turn this one on, then you turn this one on. And in Show Express, you can actually create what it's called pixels. And pixel mapping allows me to, again, control each individual pixel. So basically, you map this one, you map this one, you map this one. Any fixture that has multiple pixels can actually, or multiple diodes, can actually be mapped. Most of them can. These were the color band PixMs that we used at Mobile Beat. And what we did with these is I think we had 14 of these in a row on the facade. And when I pixel mapped it, I could actually spell Mobile Beat and Showbay DJ and Electro Voice. So basically it becomes a scrolling text. I can actually get any GIF image and I can make that whole facade come to life by using a GIF image. If you really want to get advanced in that, you can actually take a video snip and process it on a website, which this is a whole different video that you and I can have, John. But there's a website that will actually take any video file create a GIF file, and then when you import that GIF into Show Express, you can then run it on anything that you have pixel mapped. So that's what we did for a lot of the show in Las Vegas. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, I think that gives that individual control.
I answered this question, okay?
Yeah, I think the individual.
Did he
Yes.
fail?
Yep, Scott. That's exactly right. And hopefully he got that. It looks like he's got it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. We'll give him about five more minutes down in Wisconsin.
All right. But yeah, as we were talking about, I guess as we're waiting, we were talking about the trios. The trios are an amazing fixture. We ran these, I believe, in 15-channel mode. They actually have, I believe, a 32-channel mode, so you can really get involved in these things. But again, utilizing the built-in programs that this fixture has, it gives you a lot of flexibility. You know, when you're doing the dance floor and you want to illuminate the entire dance floor, you put it in that wash mode. When you have the introductions, you use the beam mode, or not the beam, but the spot mode. And it's an RGBW fixture, so you can actually create warm whites. You're not limited to a color wheel. You can actually color mix all the diode or all the colors and create the exact color tone that you're looking for. At the show, we actually used these, and again, that's the other thing. I mean, you're not limited to just using this as a moving head for, on top of totems. You can use these as moving moving uplights. So you put them up against the wall, and then you just put them on a slow rotation like that, and they go back and forth. So you kind of create a really cool pan. We do a lot of corporate events like that. This being a zoom, you can actually make the beam tight and widespread just by using the zoom effect. And then again, we use these on the stage at Mobile Beat. We use them in the back on the totems to create beam effects, moonflower effects, wash effects, but then we also use them as a follow spot on the stage. So if we had a presenter on one side of the stage, we had 3 different lights aiming on him, and then we used a MIDI board. As he moved across the stage, we could actually follow him using all 3 of those moving heads at the same time. So again, I mean, if you're looking for something to, you want to take that next step, there's a lot of lights in between, but there's a huge jump when you look at, like we talked about, the swarm wash, wash effects, and then going into some of the bigger moving heads. I mean, they have moving heads that are, $1,600, double gobo wheels, all those type of things. But, I always have people ask me, I'm out of focus here. I always have people ask me, how many uplights should I buy? Or,
and that was my next question. Now let's move. We've kind of talked about some excitement on the floor. Now let's go into talking about uplighting, and I want you to do this in a couple of different phases. First off, because a lot of you can buy the pack of 4 uplights in a bag, and I think pretty much everybody sells that. So let's start out how you would utilize 4 uplights, and then getting back to our room, how you would uplight that room in maybe like a 4 and maybe an 8, and then how you do it full out.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is, I mean, I've taken the Dave Ramsey courses, and I've lived by the Dave Ramsey courses. I always tell people, don't go in debt trying to create your light show or trying your business. If you don't have enough money to buy ETX, then buy maybe EKX or ELX. There's so many different ways to, jump up the ladder when it comes to your equipment. So, start building your light show. Start with 4 lights that, are going to be effective for you. Like you said, if you start with 4 uplights, sell them to the couple as an add-on, or make that part of your package or your experience, and, utilize those behind a head table. Okay. It's a great accent starting point. If you put them in 4 corners of the room, they're going to get completely lost. So give them a purpose. The bride and groom are going to have pictures taken all night long, not just from the photographer, but from all of their guests. So make your lighting stand out. So when the photographer gives you pictures, or the bride and groom says, oh my gosh, that, when we did the clinking glasses and we got this picture, the uplights behind the head table looked amazing. Now you have that picture to show your clients, your future clients.
Yeah.
show them that picture, and then your clients are going to say, well, gosh, I would really like, maybe 8 lights behind the head table, or what do you think I need behind the head table? Start building your inventory, and a good number. If you want to figure, I guess the starting point, if you want to go beyond 4 lights, start with 8, go to 12, go to 16, go in increments of 4, because it will allow you to kind of utilize those lights around the room properly. And it might be, we can do, and when we sell our lighting, we don't sell it by the fixture. Don't ever sell by the fixture. And second of all, don't call it a light fixture. It's an effect, or it's the ambiance. Because if you start saying, well, we charge this much for a light fixture, they don't care about a light fixture. They care what it's going to do with their event. So it's going to illuminate, or it's going to, capture the attention of your guests, and, really start creating that ambiance. So start building your inventory little by little. Don't break the bank trying to invest in uplighting, though.
Sure. We get Jake, when your audio is ready, let me know, and then we'll turn your camera back on. Jeremy, let's hit a couple. We had a question on talking about your follow spots. Do you use a joystick with that?
I don't use a joystick. Actually, what I do is, hold on, let me grab that toy.
Yeah, go ahead and grab that.
Okay.
And Jake, if you can hear me, your microphone is not showing up. You need to turn your mic on the device.
Okay, so this is the APC 40 MK2, and this right here is what we used for the follow spot. It's a left and right slider. You can also use it for these as well. So basically, you MIDI map. Again, that could be a whole nother video, but you MIDI map each one of these to a button that you create in Show Express. And so you create one point, you save that as step 1, you create another point, you save it as step 2, and then by moving it left and right, what you're doing is you're creating that panning motion. Exactly. So that's how we created using a joystick.
Jeremy, we need to wrap up. I'm going to wrap things up here. Now we've talked about our floods. We've talked about some beams, some moving lights. We were getting into the lighting around, some uplighting a little bit, and then I want to talk just a touch bit on control, especially when we're doing wireless control. And let's see if we can try to just cram this in here in the last 5 minutes. So let's wrap up with the uplighting, because we had talked about 4, and you were talking about 8 and expanding and such. But what are some rule of thumbs when it comes to encompassing the room? Like distance on fixtures, or how do you calculate that?
It really comes down to the design of the room. And, again, with the technology of battery-powered fixtures and being able to run them wireless DMX like you can the Freedoms, the nice thing with that is I can have it on the other side of the room and be able to control it. You don't want to – there isn't really a rule of thumb like they have to be 4 feet or they have to be 10 feet. When we were limited to power cords, then yes, it was, well, my power cord's only 5 foot long. I guess it's going to be 5 foot apart. So now what you have to think about is the design elements. And, we've done a lot of workshops. We've done a lot of seminars regarding this. Look at the elements of the room and what is the best things that you can accent. It might be a stone fireplace. It might be, again, behind the head table, but then, they have large windows. Well, you don't want to put uplights in the middle of windows. You want to maybe accent beside those windows. So there's really no rule of thumb. It just comes down to the design aspects and what your best accent pieces are in that room. And again, I think the final note is there's no magical numbers of fixtures. Just start building your inventory slowly, and try to, if you talk to clients in your 2016, 2017 calendar year, and they say, well, we want to do full room uplighting, and we're expecting like 40 some lights. You don't have to say, well, I'll full room uplight, and it takes 48 lights to do that. Again, it comes down to, it might only take 30 lights. It might take 40 lights. It might take 60 lights. But when you look at it as a design and not, I have to use 48 lights because that's what I promised the bride and groom. Again, that's why you don't sell fixtures. You sell the effect or the ambiance.
Right.
Then you're not limited to just using 48 lights or having to use 48 lights. Just think of it in a design aspect.
Cool. Good advice. Good advice. Last thing, we have our back to our diagram. We've got our lights by the stage, which we can easily reach. We've got the lights on the other side. I don't think we need to go to it, Jeremy. Wireless control. How would we send that signal? Because I don't want to run a DMX wire across that dance floor.
Sure. So there's a couple different protocols for different manufacturers. So Chauvet uses DeFi, which is their protocol for their wireless fixtures. So it's going to be able to talk to Freedom Sticks, anything with built-in, the USB technology. It's going to have its own basically frequencies that it talks through. And, I think Blizzard has, Bicycles Bicycles.
I believe something like that. Yep.
Yeah. So basically, by putting a transmitter in the back of a control board or in the back of your software, then what it does is it basically eliminates the need for DMX cables. It will actually transmit the signal to anything that has that same protocol. So again, DeFi, Bicycle, whatever it is, it allows your computer or your hardware to talk to those fixtures. So again, technology has made it way too easy for us. I remember doing a entire room uplighting, running DMX cables, running power cords, and programming it all. And it would take me 6 hours to set all this up. Now I can do it in a matter of a half hour. It's just incredible. So
very cool. Yeah, technology is a great thing. Jeremy, thank you very much. I think we've got some good information there. We've covered some basics to get hopefully give people an idea of a way to get going if they aren't doing lighting, or if they want to kind of spruce it up a little bit without having to spend a ton of money.
Yeah, and if people have questions, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to, help them out, point them in the right direction to work with their budget or help them figure out. Again, I started out the same way, so I'm definitely here to help any viewers or help anybody as they start their journey in lighting.
That sounds great. For those of you who are watching, I'm going to put a link in the chat right now. That is the link you can pop over to go check out Arnaldo and the crew. They are starting here in they probably are just getting going here. So you guys can pop out and check that. Jeremy, thank you very much. We will. I think we're going to be doing a part of one more show here before the end of the season here coming up in May. So.
Sounds good.
Have yourself a great weekend, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow night with our music show on Tuesday night. Good night.
See ya.
The PB Dark Matter Series power enclosures deliver best-in-class performance with custom settings for specific environments. The Dark Matter enclosures produce crystal clear, professional audio. PB Electronics, perfection in music and audio. Quality Kids Entertainment is sought after by parents and daycare centers everywhere. Bubble parties can easily be added to your existing services as a wonderful and unique event. Mention you saw this ad and get 10% off our special offer if you sign up before April 30th. So contact Bubble Parties today before this offer gets away. DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool. The LD Systems Curve 500 is the world's first truly portable array system. With 2,400 watts of peak power and a 120-degree array, the Curve 500 is the ideal solution for DJs who care about their sound and presentation. Learn how to make money while you sleep with automated email marketing for your event or business. Get access to the training for free by going to profit911.biz/DJN. Profit 911. More customers, more cash, less stress.